It's me, Russ. I'm here. This is the All Records podcast. Today we're going to be talking to an old friend of mine, John D. John, I don't really know how to say your last name. So do you want to say your last name for me so everyone knows how to say it?
Damiano.
Is that Damiano?
Yeah, Damiano.
All right. See, I was kind of thinking that was it, but I didn't want to say it wrong because people say my last name wrong all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think both our last names are pretty phonetic. I mean, isn't yours just Orchid?
Yeah, but I think people see the R before the C and they don't know what to do. Like it messes their brain up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust me, like I hear people say it all the time and I'm like, it's literally two words. You just say them together and they just struggle with it.
Yeah. Mine's a little harder. I mean, it's got a couple vowels in there.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at it and you're like, DiMaggio, and then you take out the G, It's not that hard.
It's actually a very good point. I've never really thought about it like that.
Yeah,
I got to start telling people.
DiMaggio,
it's like DiMaggio, but take out the G.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I always thought it was. So, all right. So, I've got you here today because you're obviously in the industry and you're doing things with TTA, which is what, the Trep Agency?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? What you're doing these days?
Yeah. Well, a quick backstory is when I was in my first band that I met you.
Yeah.
When I was in, we met at a Punchline show in New Jersey with Audio Karate in like 2004 or 2005.
Right. Was it Lane Meyer play that show?
And it was. I think they were a day at the fair by that point.
Oh right, yeah, it was a day at the fair.
Yeah, but they weren't. Yeah, but you put out the Lane Meyer record. So, anyways, that first band, we would encounter scenarios where, like, we needed a booking agent, and it was just stupid because it was like people discovering what the music industry is today, which I think works in a very self-explanatory way these days. But I think back then people were kind of experimenting, like how do we book bands, like newly opened clubs and newly opened restaurants where like they go on their website and they have this policy and it would be like, we'll only book your band if you have an agent.
Yeah,
and
it was like the MySpace
that's the dumbest shit I've ever. Yeah. Like, why can't you? It was 2005, and I guess everybody wanted to seem more official. So, like I said, they were like experimenting, like what should our policy be? And they somebody somewhere would come up with that, and so that's how I started my agency. It was a total joke. It was like our merch guy's name was Alan Trepper, and he's still one of my best friends. He was supposed to work here at some point, but it never came together because he got a better, job. Yeah, Trepper was our merch guy, and we were just like, hey, this will make sense because Trep comes to our shows anyway,
Yeah, totally.
Trep was at the show that we met at, he was just sitting behind the T-shirts. You'd never know, I mean, like...
Yeah, I tell young bands all the time, I'm like, you know what, just start your own label.
It's the same thing, basically. It's the same thing, only the necessity was coming from a different place. But It's basically the same thing. So, anyways, it stayed that way. The company never changed from just being a back pocket when we needed representation. Bands I've been in have had agents over the years. JJ at Circle Talent was our agent for many moons ago. Mike Zemer from Third String, who does all the big Texas festivals and everything, was my old band. He was our agent at some point. I've had a couple of more. Nick DeLuise was a really good dude who still works with a couple of random. He does stuff, and I think he does a lot of advising, which probably you do too, Russ. I'm sure people ask you.
I always joke that I'm like a punk rock Yoda. Like I just want to be left alone, but if you ask me questions, I'll help you.
Yeah, so my friend Nick still does that, and anyways, anytime we didn't have representation and it came into play, there was TTA. And now, I basically was a YouTube celebrity, Brian Stars. And that guy's kind of not really doing videos the way he used to, but like 3 or 4 years ago, he was getting like probably 500,000 views a day.
Yeah, that's insane. I've been seeing like your agency name around, and like I've seen like flyers.
Yeah, it started back then with him when the poster came. Yeah. So once Brian put my poster up, that was game over. I mean, it never stopped since. I looked. We're in year 3, and we're coming up to 10,000 emails on the account, which.
That's awesome. That's great.
That's great. Yeah, I looked and we're like 9,900 whatever, and I was like, holy crap! I can't believe that many emails have came in, and in the inbox, it's wild.
Yeah, it's
granted
crazy
a
when that
share of
stuff
them
happens.
are some of them are duplicates or whatever, but it's got to be like 9,000 unique, I'm sure, or something.
No, trust me, I don't even know what mine's at, but it's something ridiculous. I still have my AOL email address. And people make jokes about it, and I'm like, you know what? People, like, I can contact brand new, Like, I can contact people who've been around forever because I still have my old email.
No, you know what's crazy is you are 110% correct. I had somebody in a massive firm, like a much bigger boutique booking agency. They booked for some of the biggest names in metal. This is a metal agency, and they told me that all their agents have an AOL email as like an option for some of the old timers that's all they talk on.
Yeah, no, I believe it. And what's weird is like sometimes for a joke I'll like sign on to like AIM or something, and I'll see like people from like big bands will pop up, and I'll be like, wow, they're still using this, Like people make fun of it, but it's there still,
It's made me wonder, like, should I fire up my screen name from the Southcott days? And
you should, just to see, like, it's so weird.
I am totally, after that, now this conversation with you and then my buddy last week, I'm doing it.
I bet the only people who sign on are people who are, like, in bands.
Like, people who still book shows or buy... Yeah, or been in a band. No kidding. That's very crazy. That'll be a trip.
It's pretty neat, So what are you guys doing now? Like, what tours are you working on? Anything like that?
I'll tell you. It's all kind of crash landed recently in what seems to be. I'm probably going to restructure Trep Agency as a junior agency, and then take my headline stuff to a bigger boutique agency.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned that. I basically have over the last 3 years we did a mix of both headline tour booking for acts that can headline a room, and we've done plenty of small punk tours, and DIY art spaces.
Yeah, if you ever have any smaller bands, send them our way. We just expanded our room. We can hold like over 100 people here now.
Cool. I do have stuff like that all the time that, I basically, whether it's metalcore or pop punk, have been the 2 major junior size tours that I'll take on.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I mean, I'm actually retiring soon from music, but I have like someone who's like my understudy. I'm training him. He's like 20, he's really into music. He's in a band. So he actually does all the recordings and stuff we do here.
Oh, yeah. So you're doing a studio thing, or you're recording your shows, or
both. We set it up so that the live shows are actually like studio recordings, but the room's big enough for an audience.
Wow, that's awesome.
The way I looked at it was, so many bands come through and like 10 or 20, maybe 20 people show up, and it's like, what's the point? So I said, if we record their stuff, they'll at least have something to walk away with.
Yeah, that's huge. There was a club in New Hampshire called the Sad Cafe that used to record all their shows.
Yeah, I remember them. I thought of it because one time I was in the UK, and the band I was with, we played this place, and it was awesome. The guy who ran it looked just like the singer from Iron Maiden, and he was in like an Iron Maiden cover band, and there was no one at the show. But they had the whole place rigged to record like music videos and audio for the bands that played. So we got this like DVD of the night. It was pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was awesome.
You had a visual and the audio?
Yeah, we're trying to work out the visual here now. What I've been trying to do is lately I do like a live stream on Facebook from my phone, so people can just get like one song from every band. It's working out though. Like we'll get like 1,000 views, here and there.
Wow, no kidding. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's all the little stuff,
Wow.
I've had what I try to do is alternate from like Instagram to Facebook, and like my Instagram following, I almost have like 18,000 followers. So I'll have like kids all over the world being like, "What's that band's name? What's that? Who's that? That person's amazing." Blah blah blah. And it's pretty neat.
Wow, so you're giving an extra layer to, the live show.
Right. Yeah. It's really. I mean, me. The whole reason we do it is to help out and make a difference with the bands. It's not like I have a real job too. Like I like to pay my bills, and this is about like punk rock.
Totally. I'll definitely send some stuff your way, and that'll be what the Trep Agency becomes right now as I move to a boutique place, and
keep me posted on that. I saw you're doing like a wizard themed party or something.
Yeah, I'm doing a wizard magician type of party that's also heavily tied into the Harry Potter books and movies.
It sounds awesome. I was looking at like the stuff online about it. It said like 4,000 confirmed guests or whatever. Like that sounds intense.
Yeah. It's a 2-floor, 1,000-ticket event.
That's great.
And it's selling very well, very fast. It looks like it's going to hit capacity, and it's cool. We've been working on what we're going to have there. I'll just say it because it doesn't really matter. Some guy already hit us up. He's going to propose to his girlfriend on stage.
That's awesome. That's so cool. We actually, last week, we had a girl do a promposal in the middle of the show. And it was like the cutest thing ever. This little, she's like a 16-year-old girl or something, asked her girlfriend to go to prom with her. It was so nice.
Wow, at your show?
Yeah, it was awesome. We got it all recorded on audio and stuff, and it's online. It's pretty cute.
Legendary, dude. Legendary. Yeah. That's awesome. So, yeah, that's similar thing, I guess. So I guess if you're doing events enough, you're bound to bring some people together.
Totally. All right. So let me ask you, for the people listening who may be in bands, do you have any tips on touring for smaller bands?
Yeah. It's funny. As an agent, I guess it would be bizarre to say this, but my advice is do it yourself. Nobody, and I'm sure you've seen this too, Russ. Nobody helps your band better than you. Right, I agree. There's a point where if someone's gonna help you, 9 times out of 10, they need a reason to help you. So a bigger agency, it's their job, it's money. So if you're a small small act, no one's gonna sell you better than you'll sell yourself. Yeah, no one's gonna put in the time, because I'll tell you, some of my, when I take on a junior tour, these are bands with 2,000 likes or 3,000 likes, and you could tell they're hustling. Yeah, they've got some high quality video on YouTube or something. Yeah. If I take on a package like that, a lot of times I will hit up every single contact in a market, get told no. Yeah. And then I wind up getting it by just having so many extra friends in person from all the years of touring, I'll find a bartender, and he'll send me to like a neighboring town where every single stage is open in the entire city.
Right. I mean, and like I get it from the opposite end. Like I'll get all these emails from these bands, and I'll look, and I like my Facebook's maxed out. So what my like test is, if none of my friends like this band, I don't think anyone's gonna come. But if you send them to me, then I'm like, oh, I trust John.
Good assessment.
So it's like you're saying, sometimes it helps to know people, but it also, you got to put in that footwork and like talk to people and make friends in these areas that you want to go to.
Yeah, somebody somewhere needs to have the extra connection, and a lot of times bands just they're the only ones that are going to work on a tour date long enough to find that guy, you know, and sometimes I'll have somebody say no, but say their cousin is in a state within a 2-hour radius. We could still go there. And
dude,
then
you know what that sounds like? Have you ever seen the movie Green Room?
No, I haven't.
You have to watch it. It's like every fear you've ever had on tour. Basically, they show up for a show, and the promoter like kind of screws them over. And he's like, yo, my cousin, they live on this compound, but they'll give you $200 if you play their party. So they roll up, and it's like a punk band, they're like a Minor Threat kind of hardcore punk band. And they roll up, and it's like a KKK compound, like filled with like skinheads and stuff. It's a thriller. It's an awesome movie, but it's like they witness a murder, and like it's awesome. But I tell bands, I'm like, you should watch this before you tour, because it's one of my fears has always been like something like this happening.
Wow, I've dealt with some murder on the road, so I have to see this.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced all sorts of crazy
amazing
stuff. It's called Green Room because they're like in the green room waiting for most of the movie. They're like locked in this room, and like they can hear like the Nazis planning outside what they're gonna do, and like Patrick Stewart is the leader of like the Nazis, so, and what's his name? The kid who just died recently, who played he's in Star Trek and he just died. He played Chekhov. I forget his name. Anton Yelchin or something. He's like one of the main dudes. It's like a wicked good movie.
Hello?
Yeah, are you still there? Did you hear me talking? Or
yeah.
Did you lose? Sometimes it cuts out.
Yeah, it got a little lost you for a second. So
I was just talking about the movie.
Patrick Stewart is the head guy.
Yeah, and he's intense, man. He's like, no joke, like, we got to get rid of these people, and it's pretty good. Yeah, so it's called Green Room.
Wow, yeah, I'm in. I'm sold. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on video on demand somewhere. Speaking of touring, what do you got? Do you have any like really interesting tour stories, or what with like bigger bands that people might know of?
I should guess give you my murder story.
Yeah. So that'll fit.
Off the top of my head, I think it's just this one instance, or no. I think it's two. Actually, it's two in the same city within the same day. This was back in 2005. We were in Carson City, Nevada, which is the capital up north. It's east of Reno. And when we got to town, we saw these two guys in the crosswalk at a red light. And one of them was beating up the other with a bat.
Jesus.
And the guy without the bat eventually died.
I believe it. Yes. You can't really walk away from that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was surreal because they spilled out onto the intersection, and the guy was like cocking back and getting ready to swing, and we all just were kind of in disbelief. We were all we were like, it's one of those things where when your eyes meet, seeing that in person, you just can't really. Yeah,
it's like a freeze, like like everything stops.
Yeah. Or it's the moment before you find out they're joking.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, oh, they were joking, but like all of a sudden he started connecting, and we were like, oh man.
Yep.
So
I was at a pool hall one night and I saw a pool stick split someone's ear open.
Oh,
and like everyone's like, oh, they must be joking, right? Like, because it was about like $1 pool game, and this dude just whapped someone upside the head with a stick, broke it, split the dude's ear, took him out back.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, but all of us, everyone just kind of watched like it was like two friends arguing, and it wasn't.
Jesus, that's painful. The ear is a painful.
Oh, dude, like the bottom half just hung. It just fell right to the ground, like to like his shoulder almost. It was nasty, nastiest thing I've ever seen.
Oh god.
Yeah, you don't realize that it's held up by the top part, you know, and it just like sagged right down.
Oh.
It kind of looked like when people take their plugs out, you know, and there's like the huge loop hanging.
Yeah,
it was like that. All right, so let's say who do you consider the biggest band that you've either gone on tour with or booked stuff for?
The biggest band that I was on tour with at like either in the band or just on the package with.
On the package, whatever, you know, maybe something interesting.
Probably Ticket for Ticket. It would probably have to be. I drummed for my buddy's band for Chiodos' first tour back with their original lineup in 2012.
Yeah, was that an awesome tour?
And yeah, every day was at capacity or close to it. And you know, in Boston we did the Royale, for example.
Yeah, that's such a nice place.
Yeah, it was way too big to be full, and like I really couldn't believe it. Like when I stood up when we got done playing and just saw that like that whole Royale, the whole place, just top and bottom was just pretty much, you know, people there.
Yeah, that's like an addiction moment where you're like, I need to do this forever.
Yeah, well, that's kind of even what I thought. As I was like, man, I can't get used to this.
Yeah,
you know, this is not normal. Like, it was, my friend's band Before Their Eyes. They're a metalcore band, and they had been friends with Craig and working with Craig Owens a lot. And so when he came back and got the original lineup together, you know, we got put on as support. And yeah, that's pound for pound probably the biggest, you know, aside from all the Warped tours we've all done, which is
I remember one Warped tour I ran into you guys and you were in like a minivan.
Yeah, that was 2008 Warped Tour.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember just like, I think I was walking in the parking lot and I just saw you guys rolling out of it.
That was Warped Tour 2008, and that was
a good year.
Awesome. That was like it was a high and low that like every day had its major ups and downs.
Well, that's what Warped Tour is, you know. It's
Warped Tour is really
it's like
is
baptism in fire, you know.
Yeah. But there's been some other good tours. Never the capacity of the Chiodos tour, but I remember one band I was in. We wound up touring with bands that got much bigger by the time the shows happened. You know, that's kind of because I've never been in any bands that were consistently that popular.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't have a lot of stories from the playing point of view, but one of the ways that bands I've been in kind of did, anytime we were on tours that were selling good tickets, usually it would be good foresight to tour, you know, to tour with bands that seemed like they were going to grow. So, again, by the time the shows happened, the band was in a place, I mean, you know, much bigger than when we originally got the idea to do the shows.
Yeah, so, no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you know, good lead time there of knowing a band was on the upswing.
Well, that's also, I feel like that's a key to booking a successful tour is booking it in advance.
It's still important for my agency. What's up?
I was saying that kind of points to how important booking a tour in advance is, you know?
Yeah. No, and I was just gonna say it's still a part of my job. Like it's still a thing I do is like trying to predict where things are gonna be a quarter later. You know.
Yeah, I am probably the worst person at that.
I'm sure you're fine.
The All About Records curse of bands changing their names and becoming huge bands. That's not lost on me.
What's that?
I was saying how All has like a curse of working with bands that eventually grow into big things and change their names, or just turning down bands because I didn't like the people in them, and then they become like world famous.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. As long as we've been in it, you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's those are all things that I came across myself.
Do you have let's run down through the bands you've been in and maybe like the labels or success they've had, just so we give like a little bio on you musically.
My first band was the one we had already talked about, Southcott, and we were like every day we woke up and strived to be a drive-through band. That was
the era.
Yeah. So we were like basically a cheesy pop punk thing, and we actually, at the end of our career, realized that that's not what people wanted from us. It took a very long time to figure that out, because we were so young.
Yeah. How long was that band a band?
From fall 2001 to fall 2006. So
yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
So basically around year 3.5, around about the 3.5 year mark, we started to realize what we should sound like. Like we finally started to realize what people responded best with and what made us feel the best. It made us feel the best, and people liked it the best, which is funny that it took that long to figure out. But we basically, when we would slow down our sound, and we would, basically rip off Saves the Day instead of Blink-182.
Yeah.
That's really, if we rip off Saves the Day instead of Blink-182, everybody loves it. And the more we sound like Blink, the more people hate it. And that's a lesson I give Travis Barker copycat drummers. Same thing. If I see some guy that just like wants to be Travis Barker, I'll just be like, listen, dude, go home and figure out who you want to play drums like. Because he's not it,
I have a funny Blink story. I was a substitute teach, and these kids were listening to Angels and Airwaves, and they're like, the singer sounds like somebody. And I'm like, yeah, the dude from Blink-182. And the kid's like, no, that's not it. And I'm like,
no way.
I'm like, no, dude.
Really?
I'm like, that's what he sounds like. And the kid like insisted that it didn't sound like Blink-182. And I was like, no, dude. I'm like, don't you know who this band is? And he's like, no, it just came up on my Spotify. I really like it. And I was like, oh, jeez.
That is absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, it was super. We live in a time like that now. It's weird.
I guess we do.
All right, so next band. What happened after Southcott?
Yeah, bottom line, don't rip off Blink-182. It's not smart. Anyways, so my next band was Thieves and Villains, and we were more alternative rock and indie and stuff, and we wound up signing to Victory Records and kind of getting caught up in the MySpace era.
Yeah. Did you guys end up getting like ripped off by Victory? Because I hear that happens a lot.
Not really, because the band never generated any revenue to steal.
Yeah.
And the ASCAP checks and stuff for the singer, who him and the singer Sergio and Chris the songwriter, they still get their royalties from whatever licensing happened, and everything. So everything from ASCAP comes in.
Well, that's good.
And again, the band sold just a few thousand albums, so it never, in our case, Victory Records took a major hit financially.
Yeah, they hyped you guys up. I remember seeing, I'd be like, hey, I know that guy when I'd look in AP and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, I have friends, good friends that have, had to go to court with Victory. I've toured with Hawthorne Heights more times. I've lost count at this point, almost 10 times. And those guys had to, they had to go, sit down formally to talk about, what happened to their relationship. Because I think, I'm sure you could even relate as a record label owner yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You could have so many experiences with one band that, at some point you just sit back and go, what the hell? Do I like these guys? Do I hate these guys? Am I happy?
It's definitely happened. And, the worst part is when you're, DIY, people are always like, you should just get contracts. And it's like, what am I going to sue somebody? You know what I mean? I can't sue anyone. I'm not, Victory. You know what I mean? I don't have that kind of money. And it's not even worth it 9 times out of 10 for, my level. You know?
It's just the relationship gets pulled in so many different directions that I feel like you can't even. I think it's more complex than marrying somebody, because a marriage is based off just one thing, and that's love. A record label is 20 different things you're supposed to agree on, and
there's a lot of upfront money too, things like investing that some people in a band may not even understand that. I'm putting, you know what I mean? A lot of people don't even understand fronting costs or recouping costs and things like that.
Yeah, and do I think that Victory's made some bad decisions over there? I mean, absolutely. I mean, 100%. Again, we're all. I mean, for that matter, nobody's perfect.
Right, and it's not like they came from money. They were a DIY label too. So I mean, they learned from their mistakes.
Yeah, I'm sure they definitely learned from their mistakes.
They were a very unknown label for a very long time.
Yeah. So we had a relationship there that had its our agreements and disagreements, but you'd have to ask my friends more of who have actually had an extended relationship with Victory and actually made some money, how they feel about it, because. Me personally, we had, Well,
that's good that it wasn't that bad of a relationship.
Yeah. We had one of the only things that I could say kind of bothered me a little is they were nitpicky about our album artwork.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody in my band was really confused because I had never had that happen with any label I've been on prior. So...
Did they really want photoshopped skylines and stuff?
No. They just had an opinion that they shouldn't have had. Marky from Glamour Kills was doing our artwork, and the guy is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just. I mean, literally everybody loves his art. He's got these great color schemes. He's just so talented. And I think they made some comments, some guy in the office, and we were just like, dude, you are talking. You don't know what the hell you mean.
Yeah.
And we were just like, yeah, but I'm sure that guy doesn't even work there anymore.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah, but no, that's not really related to I believe what you're alluding to, which is the royalty issues and everything. But yeah, being that we never sold any albums, nothing ever came up there, and that band did not last. And then to jump to my next band. I started, I was managing a band called Floral Terrace, and then I wound up just playing for them for a while. We were, we actually had a nice thing going with you. You helped us early on. So that's funny that I'm talking about it with you because I think you gave us buttons at a really good deal, helped us start that project. Maybe probably. It was when I was I may have still been managing. I don't even know if I was in the band. I think I was even just managing. And then, that's when you saw me in the minivan was that summer. And then from there, we toured with the band Set It Off, which, again, just became massive.
Yeah.
We did some stuff with Friday Night Boys, they were Fueled by Ramen, another MySpace band. And we toured with the Ready Set a couple of times before that guy wound up just being all over radio. And,
I think I remember that tour.
Yeah, well, we toured with them twice. We did a Christmas era tour, and then we wound up being right back out with them in end of January. Like, at that point, we were like, okay, we're going to be touring together a lot. And it wound up actually not happening because they hit radio and kind of Boys Like Girls tour right there. So they kind of outgrew us. But we thought we were going to be touring with those dudes a lot. And his draw on our tours was just crazy. I remember one show, we had to set up our merch outside.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the place was at capacity, and there was a bunch of people who weren't allowed in who wanted to buy stuff. So I was running T-shirts through the ice and snow in Michigan.
I bet that was an interesting night.
But yeah, that band ended eventually, and that's when I started doing a lot of freelance stuff.
You were like a drummer for hire for a while, right?
Yeah. I had a really big March 2012. This band just got every bounce for the South by Southwest thing. Like, they got every big show you could get. I think the only thing we didn't get was Austin City Limits. Or something involving those people, because I'm not sure if that's exactly South by, but
I think Austin City Limits is like a TV show, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's during South by, so maybe I'm wrong, but it was either something involving those people, like the caliber of those guys.
They probably sponsored something or did something. That show's actually kind of what I based this space on.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think those guys, I think the same buyers, if you will. They do some like 6th Street main stage. Like there's like an outdoor stage.
Right.
I think I saw somebody big play. Like some larger than life name on like a small mobile stage at South by, and I think we found out that was the stage that we like almost got but didn't. And we got everything else, and that was really cool. I got to again get the full South by Southwest experience. We played South by So What in Dallas.
What band was this that you were with?
They were called New County. Very small small band. That I don't think they have much content above.
So do you think South by Southwest is
10,000 plays or something?
Do you think South by Southwest is worth doing? Because I've heard over the years it's now more like just like a lot of people shaking each other's hands and that's it.
No, it absolutely can be, man, and that's all the outsider idiot people that I hate to say it, but like they suck. They ruin the experience, man. Because like if you're like me. I'm telling you, everybody's A&R is down there, and everybody, it's like you could be sitting there with a guy who works at like Nestle, like the candy people, and you're just like, what? Like I could do something here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of people that go there and just treat the music industry like a toy, or they just black out. They just do drugs. It's just like a social experience, just let's do drugs and whatever. there's a bunch of jerk-offs that go down, like pissing in the street.
Yeah, it's like Mardi Gras but like all music or something.
Yeah, and from what I gather, it used to not be like that. It's unfortunate.
That's what I've heard. Like people I know who've gone down said it's in the last like 10 years or so, it's really changed.
I mean, I still think it's worth it because if you know enough people, you could wind up places, that like the masses are not there, And look, I'll say this: I think there's a benefit to both. And that's what I've been telling people recently. I think there's a benefit to being in the street with all the savages and, being one with the people. I mean, that's me as a guy in a band on tour. I've always been that guy anyway, that like, I want to go meet the people. I don't want to be a stuck up lead singer or a guy from New York who hates being in Mississippi or whatever. I've always been like, you know what? If we're in Mississippi, like, let's go get drunk in the woods and, like, talk about driving trucks in mud and shit. Like, I'm like, let's do it.
Go wrestle an alligator or something.
Yeah, so I think that everybody should get their hands dirty on Main Street, or 6th Street, rather. But if you know people and you pull the trigger, you could go to some of the parties and you could talk to some really, really gnarly people, man. You really can. I mean, I got to hang with Reggie Watts for a minute, who's like just a hilarious comedian.
Yeah.
I got to talk music with Matt Pinfield for like an hour.
Wow. That was pretty cool,
yeah.
I bet.
That's what I've always wanted to do in my entire life, was talk music with Matt Pinfield, and I got to do it. I did it. It's crazy that's as simple as one of my goals ever was. Like, it was one of the only goals I ever. Yeah. And
so for the kids listening,
scratch that off the list of things I actually want. To sit there and talk about. We were talking about everything, man. We're talking about his days of, giving Eminem a shot. Because early on, Pinfield just, like, was all about Eminem. As soon as he could be, he was like, this dude.
He was into, like, really, the rap stuff for a while, I remember.
Yeah, and then, as far, with rock, same thing, man. Same thing. Yep. He's just like, if a band has a good album, regardless of size, like, he knows it. He'll get behind it, and it's awesome. It's huge. So
he put
that's something.
He put one of our local bands on, like, his USA show that only ran for, like, 6 episodes or something. But he brought, like, a Taunton band to film and do whatever live on one of his shows once.
No way! You guys were you had a band on Farm Club?
Well, it wasn't me. Yeah, it was Farm Club. You remember the show?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, I had nothing to do with them, but they're from this city. They're a band called, like, East Side.
Oh, gotcha.
Then they got, like, a big deal and everything, and, like, he was, like, part of that.
Dude, I mean, he knows good music, and so that's something that happened at South by, and you know what else about South by? You know what I'll say? One of the major reasons to go down. This is something that you probably don't think about often because you're not playing music. You're not performing music per se. You just every single equipment company and their sponsor team and shit. They're all down there.
Oh, I bet.
So, Fender and every drum company and cymbals and, Ernie Ball for bass. I mean, and speaker equipment, again, speaker equipment you obviously are involved with frequently, but, I'm sure you don't think about playing guitar.
No. No, I don't think, I'm just like, I don't care. It sounds fine. Let's do it.
Yeah. But if you imagine from our point of view, that's a huge deal. That's a big deal for us is if you want to go talk to somebody at Fender who's like an important guy at Fender, he's sitting in a suit jacket, sweating his ass off right in front of you. You know? Like,
I mean, because it's really like a convention with like live music.
Well, that's the thing, Russ. There's actually a convention hall. Yeah. There is one that everybody has booths at.
Yeah.
So
once upon a time I considered getting like a booth for All About, like when I was like trying to do the label 100%, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll meet a ton of bands down there, like bands that want to do things and want to tour and want to, you know what I mean, that will put effort in. And then I was like, I think I went to England the same time frame, so I didn't go.
Oh gosh, so yeah, and I tell you, you can do without it if you're hands on. All these people are accessible. The other 340 days in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy from Fender, he has to go home at some point, and when he goes home, he's got an email address. So you don't have to go, but I mean, if especially if you're a band that has no connections, I mean, you will when you get home. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's why I used to bring the bands with me on Warped Tour, and it was like, we're not playing. And I'd be like, yeah, you're not playing, but we're going to be parked next to, like, who knows who, And you're just going to make contacts and make friends with these people.
Yep, and if the music is good and people want to hear it, then it will be heard.
Yeah.
It will be.
I always use people. I use A Loss for Words as, like, a great example, because I remember one year we were doing Warped Tour, and A Loss for Words was there, and they weren't playing, but they were selling like 100 CDs a day. And then the next year, they were playing a small like tent. And then the next year, they were on a stage, And it's it's a progression.
That's exactly it. And again, good music and hard work and not getting caught up in the fashion and all the other, fashion or the social. The social atmosphere can be too much. The fashion can be too much. Or some people are all about the music and they don't know anything about the fashion or social game.
I deal with that a lot.
You need to know about them all. You need to be tuned into it all. And
so many bands that I deal with that message me think that someone's going to discover their demo and they're going to be able to leave their basement.
What was that? You cut out?
Did I cut out? I was saying that like a lot of bands that like message me think that they're just going to get discovered in their basements.
Yeah, and it's like it's. I mean, look, do you need to spend time in the Batcave? Absolutely.
Of course, you have to hone your craft.
Yeah, you got it, but you got to know when to go as well, and it's just that's just part of. Everything in life like that has its happy mediums. They're everywhere. The balances occur in anybody's life. Whatever it is. So that's our balance as musicians. Is that, and even as a label, I'm sure you can't focus on losing money so much because sometimes you got to just take a hit.
Oh, totally. I mean, I was always, as long as we broke even, I was happy.
At the same, at the same point, you got to know when to, not spend money on stupid shit.
Right.
It's always the balance it's always there.
Right. Like I get a lot of bands who ask me to like put out tapes for them and stuff, and I'm like, I don't see a point in it.
No, that's a new thing. I keep on hearing bands want to put out tapes. I keep hearing that.
I mean, I get it, but from a business standpoint, it makes absolutely no sense.
I can't believe it's a thing.
No. I mean, I understand it, but I think bands should put their own tapes out. Money-wise, it's not expensive, but there's no profit in it, so there's no return on it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's true. Why would you have a label make your tape? That kind of, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know. It just makes me feel old, It makes me feel out of touch. But, I mean, it's why I'm retiring.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, in that regard, the tape thing, I don't think it's going to last. I think it's just a funny thing.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I think if anything, as I said before, I think the music industry is pretty self-explanatory these days. And the most valuable way to release music is an MP3.
Oh, definitely. It really is.
I mean, that's it. Like, what other quality? If somebody else wants to be obscure and listen to music a different way, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is streaming and listening to MP3s.
Yep.
So it's also that's the format. We got a phone. The song goes on the phone.
That's it.
That's how it works. Songs on the phone.
That's it. I remember doing like when we did like the Warped Tours and stuff. Like we started selling CDs. No one liked CDs. We started doing download cards. Yep. It's just what you do.
That's definitely it's nice for everybody. It is. And the pirating is an issue, but
it is. But they always say like the most stolen shows, the most stolen music is also the most bought.
Yeah. Well, that's and then the other thing is, look, I mean, one may argue, how many jukeboxes didn't pay royalties.
Right. Well, I always use radio.
Whatever.
I use radio as as my go-to on it because I always say, for 50 years, radio didn't pay anything.
Radio is another example. Yeah. Radio is a great example. I mean, you don't pay for that. There it is.
Yep.
Or, how many record players used to sit there with people all hovered around it.
In the 80s, everybody bought blank tapes. Guess what they did with those blank tapes? They made mixtapes.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just, I think what's so troubling is to just see, now that it's being stolen in a recordable fashion.
Yeah.
And not to mention, it's also sold on the same network. I think it's just very troubling to see.
Well,
really.
I think it's a grander scale too. I think the intent is different. I think back in the day it was like, oh, you got to hear this, I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay for it now,
Yeah, definitely.
Like to make a mixtape, you had to buy the CD or the record or the tape originally,
Yeah, they would. Yeah, I guess the record companies were justified that somebody had to buy it in order for you to copy it.
Right.
Where now it's kind of like they could get, they release an advanced copy to a college, and some jerk at the college, puts it on Facebook or where they traced a bunch of leaked albums back to.
No, what was it?
Back in the day, in the early days of the internet with college kids.
Yep.
Each college dorm usually had some guy. Like it became a thing.
Yeah.
And this is around like the Zuckerberg era of or Zuckerberg, his little invention.
Well, it was like
Facebook,
the Napster days, kind of.
Yes. There was like servers that would only be for that house or that dorm. And so some guy would get his hands on something, and then it would exponentially get shared out of the people on that server at the college. And I even think Facebook started out as just one fucking room, like one house.
Yeah, I remember, because, Facebook's local to here, and I remember when it was so new that it was like you had to go to certain schools around here. And then after a while, it was like you had to be in college, and you could only sign up with a college email address.
Yeah, and it just grew. So and it's just like that, it's just exponents, man. It's just like 20 people got their hands on something and shared it out. And anyway, so there was no longer that lead purchase.
Right.
The lead purchase of like one guy buying it and getting it to 2 or 3 of his friends.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, they lost that lead purchase because now it became, guess what? 500,000 people have it. And none of them paid.
Right.
500,000.
It's big numbers.
So much. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. We're getting close to like an hour, believe it or not. Do you have any advice, like some last advice for anyone in a band or anything before we sign off?
I tell you, I think we kind of, even just by chatting, I think we kind of covered a lot. I mean, do it yourself. Find a happy medium between writing and know when to pull the trigger and get out of the house with a final product, get your final stamp, kind of, again, another thing that you see as the record label You put out these nice finished releases. The artwork is done, the track listing is set, it's recorded, it's mixed, it's mastered, have everything ready. Put a release date, nail it, and hope people like it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. John, thank you so much for talking with me today. Your agency is the Trep Agency. What's the site so people can look you up and fill your email inbox?
It is the Trep Agency at gmail.com and the trepagency.com. And again, I'm restructuring it to kind of a junior art space type of agency anyway, which is good because I'm going to have a place that all the small bands can go.
Great.
And get attention and get their tours. And I'm going to take my headline stuff. Yeah, my headline stuff is going to go up to a larger boutique company, and my story is in transit. It's things are going to be changing. As with my headline stuff and my boutique agency, I'll be heading up to things are going to be changing from there. I see a lot of changes happening with where I wind up, and we'll surely be talking along the way.
Definitely keep in touch with anything you need in our neck of the woods, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and congratulations on everything. It's been really awesome watching your clothes really take off. I actually was gonna see if you wanted to send some Harry Potter house T-shirts down to my show.
Yeah, I could totally do that.
I could sell them off, and I'll sell them off for you on, I guess, consignment. Is that the fancy word? Is consignment?
Yeah, I think that's still a thing.
Is that? Yeah. I think that's the fancy term there. Is consignment. Send me your Gryffindor shirts and everything, and I'll